If you're watching this video and you like doing AI things with GPUs, I have a question for you. What does the word enthusiast mean to you? To NVIDIA, it's really hard to understand what they think this means. Does it mean someone who likes to game a little bit, but also likes to use their $3,000 GPU to do local AI things? Does it mean someone who doesn't play any video games, but doesn't quite want to overpay in the $100,000 range for a GPU to do cool AI things? We just don't really know. But NVIDIA is doing better because today they released at least more details about the NVIDIA RTX Pro 5000 Blackwell. And this prosumer area of NVIDIA GPUs seems to have previously mostly been an afterthought to them. But in this current generation, where it seems like they've really gotten their act together, this GPU is really interesting, and I'm willing to say it might be one of the better buys if you want to run local AI in 2025 and you have a little bit more money and you don't want to buy used hardware. So I want to get into how this GPU stacks up against the RTX 5090. I have some benchmark data that gives us some really interesting insights, whether this GPU is worth buying at all, and how this stacks up against the full range of AI-focused NVIDIA GPUs. Welcome to AI Flux, let's get into it. So the naming nomenclature of this GPU is a little bit ridiculous, but I actually prefer that they are now doing this as opposed to naming it like with a quadro, because the last two versions of this were incredibly hard to discern from the previous generation or even other GPUs. So they're calling this the nVidia RTX Pro 5000 Blackwell, basically meaning it's the little brother to the RTX Pro 6000 Blackwell, which I previously mentioned in my video about the Alibaba 96GB VRAM 5090. However, this GPU is really interesting because in theory, this will probably be about 2/3 of the cost, ideally a little lower than the RTX 6000 Blackwell, which comes in at around $9,500. But the capabilities we get here are really interesting, and I think it starts to give reasons why you might not want to buy used hardware anymore if you're doing a lot of local AI. So let's get into the rough specs of this card. So unfortunately, this card is still using the really goofy 12-pin power connector, but the specs are pretty interesting. So this is a GPU built on the NVIDIA Blackwell architecture, roughly equivalent to an RTX 5080. It has 5th gen tensor cores, 4th gen ray tracing cores. It has the latest NVENC encoder, 3 on the decode and encode side, which is pretty cool if you're doing any video stuff. And the coolest thing is right here. So the memory configuration is 48 gigs of GDDR7 with error correcting capability with a 384-bit bus, which is pretty cool. And the biggest thing is, since this is their Pro series of cards, these drivers will allow you to actually stack that RAM on top of itself. And although you're paying for it, you won't have to do a bunch of tricks in software to split your model across different GPUs. NVIDIA's drivers will do this all for you. So NVIDIA describes this GPU as being able to unlock next-level AI performance and neural rendering capabilities with the NVIDIA RTX Pro 5000 Blackwell. So it's interesting that they're getting back to their graphics rendering roots, but with an AI focus, which is kind of interesting. They also mention AI development, LLM inference, and generative AI workflows, along with simulations, which is pretty cool. The reason you see the decoders and encoders in NVENC is because this GPU can actually still do video stuff, and it's meant to do pipelining. The CUDA core count is really interesting, and we'll get into that in just a bit, along with what they're doing with the memory. So what's interesting here is the RTX 5000 in previous years has basically just been a premium 5080 with a lot of enterprise features baked in and ECC RAM, but not really having any more RAM than, let's say, the equivalent 5080. And usually it had the same amount of RAM as the highest end consumer card. So if we look at the RTX A5000, it had the same amount of RAM as a 3090 with the GPU performance roughly of a 3080. And this GPU is definitely a departure from that. So they mention again AI development, data science, which is probably looking at RAG or kind of local AI, AI-driven rendering and graphics, and then streaming, which I would not buy this GPU for streaming, but there are other options for that. And that's basically all they tell us. You can find a partner to purchase this from. They have some data sheets. Some of these documents aren't even uploaded to the website yet, but it's cool to see that now we have a 48 gig option that will likely cost in the $4,000 to $4,500 range. The A5000 was right around $2,800. But then again, that was at a time when crypto mining was heavily affecting the prices of GPUs. The previous RTX 5000 was right around the $4,500 to $5,000 mark, And based on what nVidia can get out of Taiwan, the pricing on this will be really interesting, and we'll know more in June when the RTX 6000 Pro is released. There's a little bit more information in the RTX Pro 5000 datasheet that is actually pretty cool. So what you'll see here is their 14,080 CUDA cores. They don't really give us a count on tensor cores. They give us some more information on memory bandwidth, and they mention their video engines again and some rough, and that's about it. It's a 2-slot card. Usually these cards are a bit more efficient since they're binned a bit better than the consumer cards that are just, like 5070s and 5080s, but it's pretty interesting. And when you compare this to the 5090, there are a few notable differences. One is that this actually is more VRAM. So you're comparing 32 gigs to 48 gigs. And 48 gigs is just a better number for doing a lot of this stuff. And if you buy 2 of these, you can actually stack it. So if you're doing training, that's kind of the one instance where I'd say the 5090 could work because splitting up those workflows are quite easy. But if you're doing inference, the choice isn't quite as clear. If you can fit it on a 5090, that's great. But otherwise, the RTX Pro 5000 series is probably a great option. PNY is one of the first board partners to really give us some more information here. It's still quite sparse and basically just a copy paste of what was on the NVIDIA page, but what's cool is PNY is still fully supporting a 3-year warranty, which is great, and it's an even bigger reason to invest in a GPU like this instead of buying a bunch of used hardware, which at this point, you're really rolling the dice if you're still buying 3090s. Now, Tech PowerUp has probably gotten their hands on this card because they've given us some rough benchmark numbers, even though NVIDIA still has an embargo on this GPU. So I'm going to be comparing the RTX Pro 5000 Blackwell against the 5090, because for most of us, even myself, I can't afford to buy an RTX 6000 Pro. $10,000 is just too much for a single GPU. Maybe if I find another investor, we'll figure that out. There are some really interesting bits here. Now, what's really interesting with the RTX Pro series is they won't actually give you a raw number of the AI tops like they will for all of their consumer cards. That's a metric you get on the 5090. Unfortunately, you don't really get that on the RTX 5000. What's interesting here is the relative performance is defined as part of a kind of render config. This is kind of an all-inclusive benchmark. This shouldn't only reflect AI, but AI is a very big part of the benchmark that Tech PowerUp uses. So the bigger differences here are the shader unit counts and the question of tensor cores. So if you're looking for AI compute, tensor cores and SM count are basically going to be the biggest thing here, along with CUDA cores. And if we look between here, we see that obviously the 5090 has quite a few more shading units because this is meant for playing video games. You can see the SM count is 170 with a tensor core count of 680. And if we go here, you'll see that actually the RTX 5000 Pro has about 30% fewer tensor cores and an equivalent reduction in size in SM count. So the GPU itself is not quite as powerful, but you're getting a lot of features that still allow you to do a lot with that memory. And what will come down to whether or not this GPU makes sense to buy for local AI if you have the money in your wallet, it's going to be whether or not these leading edge features in drivers and that little bit more of RAM actually makes sense for your workflows. And it'll also be interesting to see how this affects pricing on rental markets, because right now the 5090 is incredibly expensive to rent, but also is one of the fastest GPUs to do Gen AI work with. And you can see here that if we're comparing the RTX 5000 Blackwell, it is about 12% more performant than the RTX 4090, still quite a bit more performant than the RTX 5080. So it's not really a one-to-one comparison like it would have been for the RTX A5000. Comparing to the 3090, it's kind of not even close. It's basically 2 times as fast. Of course, the RTX 5090 will be a little bit faster, and basically a 15 to 16% delta is quite a bit of performance. But if you think this would make sense for your local AI config, do with that what you will. And again, if this card costs more than $5,000, I simply wouldn't bother. I would much rather buy 2 5090s at MSRP if that ever happens. There is a good chance that these GPUs will be more numerous because NVIDIA pretty much knows that there will be more buyers at volume and at scale in single orders for these. And when you see companies like PNY or board partners like NVIDIA is willing to display here, this is why we see these more numbers, because each of these companies are buying probably 1,000 of these at a time, whereas the more consumer level companies that are selling 5090s are maybe getting allotments of 50 to 100 at a time if they're lucky. So we don't have any major AI benchmarks for this yet. We just kind of have this aggregate score from Tech Power Up. I'll link these two GPU spec pages below. I'm curious, what GPUs you guys are using, what price point this would make sense for any of you. Let me know if you think this is just way too expensive and you would never bother even buying this, or if you're hoping it's a great option for replacing your current config to have a single GPU as opposed to, say, 12 3090s or something like that. I think this is a really interesting development. I'm really eager to see what price this comes out at, especially if it's comparable with the 5090 96 gig card I bought from China. Assuming that card is real, it'll be really, really interesting to see. So as always, I hope you guys learned something. Really curious what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.